Hey guys, it's Matt Catling here for the next module of our NLP Accelerator training. This program has been so incredible. The results that we've been getting out of it have been amazing. You know, the people that are doing this kind of live with me, I know if you're watching this, you're listening to the recording, but we're seeing new levels of optimism where we're kind of focused on problems and that story playing unconsciously over and over and over again to now starting to see opportunities, to see possibility instead of impossibility. And I think that is just so wonderful because we know that will compound long term into a completely different life. It's like the butterfly effect. Small changes here, long term, make an incredible difference, a destiny changing kind of pattern, which is really exciting. We're seeing a lot of the business owners that are doing this. All of a sudden, they're attracting clients because that's kind of the key. Energy is the key. And with the NLP Accelerator, that's what we're doing. We are shifting these limiting patterns and we're turning them into patterns of power. What is that? It's energy. It's a different polarity. And that polarity is kind of like sticky in the sense that it's magnetic. And so when you get into new environments and you have a new polarity, suddenly you'll bring in enormous opportunities. Now, the thing is, those opportunities have always been there. It's just now we're starting to see new opportunities. Remember we talked about deletion, distortion, generalization, and there is like 2 million bits of information coming to us every second, and we're only grabbing 134 bits. That's what we're talking about. We want to grab a different 134 bits. We want the 134 bits to be possibility, opportunity, instead of impossibility. Okay? You may have had that experience, right? You decide to buy that new car, you're obsessing over it. You see the make, the model, the color everywhere. The car's always been there. The same happens with opportunities. When we obsess over opportunities and possibility, we see that stuff and it's always been there. It's not the universe giving it to you. The universe gave it a long time. It's always been there. So today, what I want to talk to you about, the next intervention, is anchoring. Anchoring is really, really powerful. When it comes to anchoring, what we're able to do is link new emotional states of empowerment, possibility, and we're able to install them. Often when I teach anchoring, I say to people, what we're doing is we're becoming the electrician. We're becoming the electrician, and then what we do is we create the circuitry and then we turn a light switch on. Okay, and when we turn a light switch on, what we're talking about is new emotional states. And again, we want to look at possibility. We want to look at opportunity. Those are the most powerful emotional states that we want to look at. So let's get into anchoring. So there are 4 steps to anchoring that we start to look at. And anchoring, to just give you a bit of a description of it, is, again, we are linking an emotional state. Have you ever had this experience, because it happens in all representational systems, where, you're driving along in your car and you hear this song and instantly you just go back to a time and place. Maybe it's a romantic song and you go back to a time and place and you have a full sensory experience. Or visual anchors, right? You're driving along and your kids see McDonald's. What happens? Like Pavlov's dog, they go into that emotional state, right? And they're salivating and they're really excited. Mum, Dad, can I go to McDonald's? Thankfully, my kids don't do that. But certainly when I was younger, a lot of my friends, I noticed that. My mum was a naturopath, so we actually never got to go to McDonald's. But I really noticed that. So we have visual anchors, okay, and you see it and it triggers a certain emotional state. We have auditory anchors. We have kinesthetic anchors. Think about a kinesthetic anchor, right? A kinesthetic anchor is where we may touch a certain part of the body, something that's unique, and we do that in a heightened state, right? Intensity is the key. Now, if we touch that unique part, or you do it yourself, it will link that emotional state, because we're always looking for what is unique in that situation, especially when there is intensity, intense negativity, intense positivity. Think of a kind of phobia, right? You see the snake, that's a trigger, okay? And then suddenly it triggers this kind of terror, this fear. It's the same process. Now, the process of anchoring is consciously setting that stuff up. Now, we need an intense emotional state. Now, an example I would use, and this is kind of a negative one, when it comes to kind of kinesthetic anchoring. Imagine this, husband and wife, right? Husband goes to work. He's really, really stressed. He's about to lose his job. He's literally shaking. He comes home. His wife looks at him in a certain way and gives him a hug. Next day, it's even more intense. He's literally having a nervous breakdown. He's so scared. He comes home. He's shaking. His wife looks at him in a certain way and she gives him a hug. Next day, same thing. It's even more intense. Wife looks at him in a certain way, gives him a hug. The next day, he pulls a rabbit out of the hat. He has a solution. And he's feeling neutral, okay? Excited, neutral. He gets home, his wife looks at him in a certain way and gives him a hug. Suddenly he feels this anxiety. He doesn't know why. Now think about that in relationships, how often that may happen in relationships, which will create a lack of affinity, which might be, don't touch me. Don't be near me. Don't look at me. Don't touch me. I don't know what it is. I'm feeling anxious. And so anchoring is really, really powerful. Think of kids as well. They're screaming, they're crying, and you go straight in for the hug. Now, I know sometimes we need to do that, but my kind of approach is that I'm going to do my best to be able to create a safe environment and help them transition through it. And then when they're in a positive state, give the hug. So there are 4 steps to anchoring that we look at. Okay, and you can see kind of this is the flow of an anchor. And I'll go into this more specifically, but let's look at the 4 steps to anchoring. We want to recall a past intense emotional state. That's what we want to do. The imagined ones are not as powerful. So we want to recall a past intense emotional state. Remember, intensity is the key. Then what we want to do is we want to anchor that memory. And how we do that is with a unique set of stimuli, right? So it could be like clicking your fingers. It could be a fist. It could be this. It could be touching your nose. It could be anything, okay? And the key really when it comes to anchoring is that you want something unique. Don't do something that you do all the time. So like a fist pump may not be the right one if you're doing it all the time, because if you do it when there's another intense emotional state, you'll either stuck it or you'll collapse it. Okay, especially if there's a negative emotional state and you're doing this and it's more intense, you'll collapse that one. So you want to choose one that may even be covert, because I want to teach you this anchoring process to use for empowerment. Like you'll notice when I walk on stage, my shoulders are back, I'm breathing, I've got a mantra going on, I'm commanding my unconscious mind, but I'm also doing this as I'm walking on stage. Okay, and I'm getting myself prepared. I'm getting myself in that really primed emotional state. And I say to myself, I command my unconscious mind to give me all of my resources, my presence, my energy. So I've got like the auditory anchor going, I've got the kinesthetic anchor going, I'm moving, I'm walking, and it puts me in that most incredible, powerful state where I'm so present, I can do interventions really, really quickly, get breakthroughs, and really help people at another level. So we want to recall a past intense emotional state. We want to have a unique anchor. And then what we want to be able to do is we want to change that state and then we want to evoke it again. So repetition is really, really important. So what we have here is a mnemonic device called RACE. That's all that you've got to think of. And what are we going to do? We're going to recall, anchor, then we change the state, and then we test it again. Okay, that's simple, right? Now, if we look at this graph here, we used to anchor at this point at the intensity. That used to be the approach. Now what we do is that we anchor the minute we feel the emotional state. Because if we anchor it at the peak, then we're going to get the downward trend. So what we want to look at is the minute you feel that emotional state, then boom. And then we hold on to that anchor, intensify it, then we let go. So typically it's kind of almost like 5 to 15 seconds before. Now, especially if you're doing this with clients like sensory acuity, you notice a color shift, skin toners, they go into it and then bang, you touch the shoulder, okay? Or you touch the knuckle to anchor that specific emotional state. So guys, I want you to have an experience of this. So I want you to think, I'm gonna bring you kind of up now. And remember what we said, when it comes to anchoring, we want to recall, okay, or we want to utilize a current emotional state. So if you're an expert in rapid change and then you notice your client going into a really powerful state, what would you do? Anchor it. I had one lady, her name was Sherry. She worked for me. And I remember I walked past her and she had belly laughter. And so when I walked past her, I touched her on the nose while she was in that state. And then I'd finished my appointment, I walked back, and then I just went like that. I didn't even touch her on the nose, and she just went straight into that emotional state. Then she linked it to the way I was looking at her. So then I could look at her across the room with that look, and then boom, she would go straight into that emotional state. So the naturally occurring emotional states are really, really powerful. Like if you're doing it from a therapeutic point of view, I'd set the parameters in the beginning. Part of the anchoring process will necessitate that I touch you. Is that okay? So get permission. But I'll use that. I'm doing therapy with someone and I might go, right, click your fingers now. Right now, click your fingers. Okay. Or if I'm in session with them, I might touch them on the shoulder. I'm like, wow, this is a really powerful emotional state. So I want you to have an experience. And, just for time purposes, use the finger click, clicking your fingers. Okay? Let's use that as a unique emotional stimulus. Now we're going to recall, okay? We're going to recall a really powerful emotional state. And so I want you to think of one emotional state that's really powerful for you. Is it passion? Is it motivation? Is it excitement? Like I often just did motivation and some people are like, I don't really have access to motivation. So I want you to choose one emotional state that's really, really powerful for you. Write it down in your book. Now remember, the key to anchoring is that we want to recall a past state with intensity. So this is where we'll use association. Okay, and then we want to use our language to really intensify it because we want the intensity. But the minute you notice you go into it, what are we going to do? We're going to fire that anchor. The minute we notice a change, we're going to fire that anchor and then we're going to hold on to it until we get to that peak. Then we clear the space and then we test. All righty? So I want you to shut your eyes, take a deep breath in and recall that moment. Go back into that moment right now where you felt that emotional state. Go back to a specific time, float into your body. That's it. Look at you. You're doing it. Fire your anchor, some of you. Fire your anchor. See what you saw, hear what you heard, and feel. Double it. Double the intensity. Fire the anchor. That's it. Okay, clear the screen. So now, take a deep breath in and out. And now come back to now. Shake it all out. Shake it all out. And now fire your anchor. Now notice it. Now, how cool is this? If you don't have the full-on kinesthetic, that's fine. We just need to practice it. What if this became a really powerful tool that you used whenever you had a breakthrough? Imagine that. Whenever you had, because the natural occurring states are really amazing. So every time you have a breakthrough, you went, boom. Well, guess what? We're going to start to stack it. And that's what we're going to talk about next week is stack anchoring. But I wanted to give you this tool in the Accelerator and for anyone else that's watching this, that's part of our Accelerator, because this is such a powerful tool. Because now we can be in a situation where we can be in charge of our emotional state. How good is that? But it's like what I was saying yesterday, actually. I was doing a corporate program and I said to them, this stuff's awesome. I taught them swish patterns. I said, this stuff's awesome. This one intervention, you could build an empire on swish patterns, literally. Tony Robbins did, right? He went, okay, out of all the interventions, which is the one that has a wow factor? Great, phobia model. Built a business on phobia model. Went on Oprah, cured phobias. That's how powerful this NLP Accelerator is. You can choose one thing, build it, solve one problem, use that as the funnel, as the lead-in. And so yesterday I taught them swish patterns. Really powerful stuff. We shifted some emotion almost instantly because the swish pattern is like a visual anchor. That's what it is. So I'm teaching you kinesthetic anchors, I'm teaching you visual anchors, and it has a really powerful way to change the meaning. Think of anchoring, you go back to a past negative event, fire the anchor. Now you're looking at the event in a really powerful way, especially from disassociation. So really awesome tool. But it's one of those things, right? Got to use it. We recently bought this Thermomix. How good are Thermomixes? Oh my God. It's got the instruction manual in there, download the recipe, it cooks stuff, it gives you don't need a measuring thing, it does a whole thing for you. Now, Steph's sister, Lauren, she's got a Thermomix. Sorry, the other sister, Lisa, she's got a Thermomix. Lauren uses it all the time. But Lisa, I'm pretty sure it's still on in the packaging, sitting on the bench. She's had it for like 2 years. So here's like a $2,000 blender, basically, that's still sitting in the packaging, that's actually outdated now. There's a new model. And I look at it with this stuff exactly the same. It's like you're armed with the most incredible techniques on the planet. Like I'm teaching you some of these interventions. You guys are getting success straight away after just doing it once. You're getting success. You've never heard of it before. Some of you are constructing metaphors, transforming people, and you've only done it once. Don't let it be like the Thermomix that's sitting on in the box not being used, because here's a $2,000 blender that is so valuable that can create beautiful food. But if it's still sitting in the box, it's valueless. And so with these techniques, with these trainings, make the most of them, because I'm going to challenge you a little bit. I'm going to start to increase the prices of all this stuff so that you see more value, so that you take action, so that you respect this stuff. I do so much for free, and then a lot of the time it's not valued. And so that's kind of going to start to change, because I want you to execute. I want you to do stuff. That's the reason that we're doing this. The training is designed to help you actually do something outside of the training. Execution is the key. I say to my troublemakers, there's no $1,000,000 ideas. There is only $1,000,000 execution. So all the trainings are just fundamentally about you doing something different. That's our mini accelerator for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Share with me your next big thing. Shoot me an email, send me a message. So bye for now. Hope you enjoyed today.